I'm gonna give you 5 reasons why, from a filmmaker's point of view, you should buy the iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max, and another 5 as to why you should hold fire and wait and see before you press the buy button. Well, there are so many reasons, but I'm gonna give you 5 main reasons, because not everything that you see from the Apple commercials are true and honest, and it's at best misleading. And the first and most important reason is to do with the USB-C port, because having this increased data transfer rates means that you can now use your iPhone as an external monitor. And that's really helpful when you're on location filming with a mirrorless or DSLR camera, because sometimes it's a bit of a pain to take an actual film monitor, because they can be quite bulky and you need to add batteries and cables, and it's just the whole thing is a bit of a pain. Whereas an iPhone is something that we all carry in our pockets, and it's so easy to just pop it on top of the camera and get a much larger screen than whatever screen any of these cameras give you. And this leads me to the next reason, which is that you are now going to be able to monitor at 4K rather than 1080p, because with a Lightning connector, 1080p was the highest data rate that you could reliably transfer from the camera to an iPhone for video monitoring. But now with the USB-C connector, you should be able to have 4K video monitoring without any problem. At the moment, the options to do this are a bit limited. You have Axon with the Axon Simo and the Pro version that allows you to monitor on your iPhone at 1080p. But I am sure that now that the iPhone comes with a USB-C port, more companies will bring solutions for this. And one of the aspects that I'm really looking forward to test is the interaction between filming in lock color space and then recording externally onto a recorder like an Atomos Ninja 5 or similar. Because if you are now able to record a legit log color space signal out onto an Atomos Ninja 5 recorder, you are going to get much more reliable codecs and a much easier workflow in your editing. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to. I just hope that you can actually record the log signal externally onto a recorder, and Apple doesn't lock it to within their app and no ability to record it externally, which to me that would be a real bummer and such a mega turn-off. But at the moment, as on paper, it looks that is going to be possible, and that is really helpful, because a lot of the times I'm filming with my Canon cameras and it's really impossible to match anything that you shoot on an iPhone to a Canon camera. And now you are still not going to be able to match it because they are completely different manufacturers with 2 different color sciences. But the theory is that if I want to do any close-ups or macro shots and I don't want to be lumping and setting up a big, expensive and rather heavy camera setup, I can literally do 10 shots in the time it takes me to set up 1 shot. And if those 10 shots I'm able to match it with my main camera lenses, that's gonna be really, really helpful. The ability now to just take photos as you do normally, but then edit them and add the bokeh or portrait effect later in post as you edit them, that's really helpful. I have struggled to use the portrait mode since it came about, because a lot of the times you want to take photos of things that are moving and it's just not fast enough. Most of the photos that you take on an iPhone are those immediate moments that happen while you are with your family or with friends, and in real life situations that you really and truly are not going to be carrying a DSLR camera with lenses, because it's just not practical. And the last aspect is to do with storage, because the ability now to plug the USB-C drive and get additional storage, whether it is for your everyday videos or for particular projects, that's really helpful. And not just having a video recorder, as I said earlier in the video, but the ability to just have an SSD drive that you can connect directly into the phone and record all that data out of your phone and into a dedicated drive. That's going to be really, really helpful. And now we move on to the more pessimistic side of things. And the first one is to do with the actual lenses, because just as I said in my last video, there is not much improvement from the 14 Pro Max. But not only that, you need to understand what Apple is giving you so that you can then make a decision as to whether this is worth it or not. The 13mm ultra wide lens is an f10, and that's not what I would call a fast lens by any stretch of the imagination. The main lens, the 24mm, is an f6.3, and again, it's a little bit faster, but that's not what I would call a fast lens in any way. But the 120mm telephoto lens that they've been pumping as the best thing since the invention of cheese is an f21. That is in no way, shape or form what I would call a usable telephoto. Now, you need to understand one thing. This is a telephoto lens, and this is an iPhone. You cannot fit this much high-end tech into such a small compact body without any compromises. And because of this, I don't have very high expectations on what the 120 periscope or tetra prism lens is gonna do. And this is why I would say to anybody that is considering either the iPhone 15 or the Pro Max to wait and see some reviews and sample footage from honest and reliable people that will give you the honest and unbiased truth without any sugarcoating, because there are going to be a lot of paid reviews that naturally are paid to just sing the praises of these products, and they may not give you the whole picture. And one area in which I am fairly skeptical is on the actual USB-C port, because I wouldn't be surprised that Apple caps the data speed and data transfers to suit their own agenda, and they're not going to give us the full bandwidth and functionality that a USB-C port gives. Because a lot of the reasons to me as a filmmaker justify getting the 15 Pro Max rely on this particular feature. So this is one area that I am a little bit skeptical based on the information that is available. In order for Apple to give you this different field of use that they're advertising, you have to crop into the actual sensor. So for instance, if you get a macro from an ultra wide, which by the way so far has been really nice, but that's a cropping factor from an ultra wide into a macro. It is disregarding all the information from the sensor, and it's just focusing on that small section of the sensor. And the same applies to the 3 different focal lengths that you get out of the main sensor. That's not 3 different lenses with 3 different focal lengths. That's one sensor, one lens, and then you are cropping in or out as you increase or decrease the focal length. So I'm very curious to see whether there is any degradation on the image, because as you well know, with an iPhone, the best image is when you are totally zoomed out. And it goes without saying that the 120mm, that's the one lens that I am so skeptical about. And don't get me wrong, I really hope the 120mm telephoto lens is a phenomenal lens, giving you incredible results. I just don't see an f21 lens in low light performing anywhere near as good as a dedicated f2.8 lens, a true f2.8 lens, because no amount of computational photography is going to be able to compensate for that lack of light that is hitting the sensor. But, you know, incredible things happen these days. I don't know, maybe pigs fly. I would love to stand corrected and eat my own words and be able to tell you that the 120mm is a fantastic lens. Time will tell. I just don't think I will, but hey, I'm open-minded. I really hope I have to do it. And one area that is undeniably gonna have an impact is to do with low light, because when you have lenses that are f6.3, f10 and f21, in anyone's book, those would be lenses that you would never take on low light or night filming. So I cannot understand how Apple is going to be able to make those lenses look good in low light. This is one area where computational photography kicks in and you might actually get insane results. I am open to be surprised, but I am fairly confident these lenses are going to be just as bad as in previous models. And lastly is to do with overheating, because this is a real issue, especially if you try to use this phone in a professional environment, because they have the Pro tag attached to them, whether it's the Pro or the Pro Max. So if I'm going to be using my phone as potentially a monitor or a field recorder, or to actually record something on location during the day, let alone if I am in a very sunny and hot day, what's going to happen with these iPhones? We could probably do with 1500 nits, no need to go to 2000 nits, but hey, the more the merrier. The question is, what is going to be the overheating like? What is going to be the heat dissipation? Because in the past, the 13 Pro Max, the 14 Pro Max, and pretty much any model before, they overheat. I mean, you take this phone and start filming non-stop for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, this is not going to be able to cope, and the screen is going to get dimmer, dimmer, and dimmer, to the point that you're not going to be able to see what it is that you're doing. So they give you all this amazing tech, but you may not be able to use that phone in the way that they advertise it as a pro phone, because it's just gonna go up in flames. And if you film a lot on your iPhone and you want that footage to look amazing, but color grading is something that you're not familiar with and it's a little bit off-putting, I've got this video here where I show you how to do it in 2 steps using my LUTs. It's really helpful. I think you're gonna love it.